Hi, this is Glenda. This week I've been inspired to make flowers by two different YouTube ladies. The first is Kellie Murton, who has inspired us to dig out our EKSuccess punch again. And the other was Anne, who showed us these pretty little flowers with the gauze behind them. So I thought I'll just show you, because mine are slightly different. Kellie shows two different sizes, so I've tried the two different sizes. I also had one other in the series of punches and did that, but I quite like this particular punch as far as the shape goes. So I used a different number of petals, so on that very slim basis I'm just going to show you what I've been doing. And I will of course put a link to both ladies' videos in the comments box. One thing I really like about this method is that you can use up your scraps because you don't need a long continuous piece. So I thought that was really good. And for mine I've got 8 petals per row. So all you're going to do is trim off, whoops, try not to miss. Cut the single petals apart. I think I had 9, 2, 4, 6, 8. Yes, I've got a spare. So that's the outside layer. And then the inside layer, where's my big scissors? You just need to cut them off across the base so it goes a fraction quicker. Oops, it should go a fraction quicker. So I've got 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And a couple of spares, just in case I fluff it up. I have got an earlier video on using this punch and my hatred for it, so I was really pleased that Kellie showed another option, which is actually quite a pretty option. Oh, if I could pick up my pieces. So I'm just going to punch a 1-inch circle. I think Kellie's circle may have been smaller and that's why she used generally less flowers, because when I tried starting with a 1/4 inch one, that was 3/4 inch one, I think that was probably, yes, and I ended up with a smaller flower, so obviously that, yeah, less petals, smaller diameter. I'm just going to use my hot glue. You can shape these if you want to. I did with some. At the end of the day it didn't seem to make a huge deal of difference shaping them beforehand, probably because it's such an open petal. So I'm just going to put my 8 evenly down. Whoops. And the next row, obviously you just come in and alternate them. Oops, and I put the glue on the wrong side, didn't I? And that's why you have spares. And I think what I did was put down the alternate ones. I've done it again. Such a pale paper. I'm never going to save this one. Oops. Okay. That way. Oh, this is really hard to tell which way up it goes. Okay, let's get them the right way up before I keep going. They still might be upside down, honestly. Anyway, that's my version with basically 16 petals. I don't know why my glue doesn't want to go in far enough. Just flipping out the back. So the other thing I did for the centre was, I don't know, I went mad and bought quite a lot of this bling, and then I really struggled to use it. So I've used it for the centre of the flower. I've seen Fiona do this with the really posh bling, but this of course is just the plastic one. So I've just got a 3/4 inch circle. And you just want a pearl or something like that to go in the middle. This is a clear crystal-y one, which I probably could have done with a 1-inch circle for this because it's bigger than the others, isn't it? It's a bit of a pity to be putting such a dimensional centre on a really flat flower if you're doing it for a card, but that's the way it goes. So I've just got a strip of this that's 8 long, so perhaps cut it a bit longer than you need. This one was already cut. Depending on the size of your thing you're going around, but you can always add in a little bit if you need to. It doesn't seem to show. So we're just going to glue this around the edge. Preferably without twisting it like I just did. Ah, now I can't pick it up. Did I mention I just snipped one row just so it would spin around? And this needs more than 8. This one, it really is quite a bit bigger than the other ones I've been using. So I'll probably need about another 4, 6, something like that. 2, 4, 6. We'll go for 6. I can always cut them off. As I say, I seem to have a lot of this bling and struggle to use it. And just snip the outside bit that joins them together. Cut off 3. Nope, I should have only cut off 2. and I just left it behind. Yes, the moral is measure how long you need it before you start. Okay. So then I'm just going to take my scissors and trim off any of these little strings that I can manage to get off. Then, if you heat it with the heat tool, it'll kind of dissolve any of the yucky glue bits that you've got going. Push these in a bit. It's a poor man's blingy centre, and I'm a poor, well, woman. Okay, so then you can just pinch them like Kelly did to give it a bit of shape. And that's my flower. So I'll move on to the other flower that Anne did. Okay, so I don't have the punches that Anne used, but I do have these. So as usual, you know, if you haven't got what somebody's using, have a look at what you have got and see if you can make do. These are embossing punches, and I got this one on clearance for about $4 the other day. Craft Online was selling them off, so it's possible you can get them cheap now. They have one disadvantage in that when you punch, you've still got to snip it out. It's one of these pop-up things, but they did the job. I didn't have the same sort of centres that she had, but I had this little splat that worked quite well. If I can show you, these ones have got the little splat, and I bought this one the other day, and this has got the little stamens in it. I think the main ingredient for her flowers is this cotton gauze. I think that's what really makes them, apart from the fact that everything Anne makes is beautiful. But what I've used is just this plain gauze swabs that you get in this packet. It's got 100 swabs, and I don't think it's ever going to run out. Like that's several there, so you get a huge amount on each one. Like you can do half a dozen flowers with that piece. So anyway, that's one little hint. Of course I'm running out of desk space. So, once again, you can use your scraps. With these, I've written myself a note to remind myself to punch them face down. And, I mean, there's nothing to it, it's a punch. You do need to give it a little bit of extra pressure because it's an embossing punch, but it's pretty obvious. And then, as I say, you have to snip out the flowers. Okay. So I don't have the distress paint that Anne used. I think it was the paint that she used. So I do have this liquid chalk marker, so you can distress the edges with that. It dries pretty pale. I'm doing that pretty roughly, but that's one option. Another is I do have the picket fence brush marker, so you know I can go over it with that, and I think it dries whiter than it goes on. Yes, it does. Or what I did on one of them, which I really like, this is the white Wink of Stella pen. So I just brushed some on and it gave me sparkly flowers. I have the white and I have the clear, and honestly I can't see the difference between the two. I'm not seeing the white in the white pen. It's super subtle. So embossing tool to do that, and on this one, because of the way this embosses already, I've just gone around the centre bit, and I have yet to punch a stamen for it. Use the big one again. Okay, so as I say, I think using the gauze or cheesecloth or whatever you want to use, I do think is what makes these particular flowers. So what I'm doing is just bunching it up, and I'm not sure how Anne did hers, but of course it just looked beautiful. Putting a bit of glue down and popping that on. Then take your layers of flowers. Oops. And some leaves. I'm not going to get this big one out of. I've got these two Martha Stewart leaf ones. I don't think it's quite so crucial that the leaves aren't embossed, because I don't have the embossing punch for these, so too bad. Now, oops, that's not quite set yet. I discovered the hard way, if you pull it up too soon, the gauze just comes undone. So I'll pause that for a moment. I'll put my pearl in the middle while I'm waiting. Fasten this down a bit more on the back. Tuck a leaf in. And another one. There's my version with the punches that I happen to have. So again, this is what I've been doing, and hopefully you can be inspired as I've been inspired, and check out what you've got. Thanks for watching.